Keith Olbermann. I want to make sure this is actually Keith Olbermann because, there he is. There he is. The Supreme Court has betrayed democracy. Its members, including Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, have proved themselves inept at reading comprehension, and collectively the court has shown itself to be corrupt and illegitimate. It must be dissolved. I want to point something out. It's 9-0. Keith, you were wrong. It's just that simple. When the most progressive member of the court, who does not even know how to define the word woman, says, yeah, you can't kick Trump off. This is nuts. You're wrong. But Newt Gingrich, I think, actually, I'll show you a couple more here because we got more. We'll go through these. Keith Olbermann says, just remember, Collins, if the Supremes now give Trump his presidential immunity BS, that will immediately make Biden a monarch. Have a nice day, fascist dimbulbs. My response to this is, tell me you did not listen to oral arguments in the immunity case without telling me you did not listen to oral arguments. They said you can still be impeached and then convicted and then criminally charged. But I want to pull up this. I got to give an honorable mention to Harry Sisson. He said insurrection sympathizer Clarence Thomas ruled that insurrectionist Donald Trump can remain on the ballot in 2024. That should be the headline. Except it was 9-0, my dude. You see these people, they just lie. That's the game they play. Newt Gingrich bring up the most important point of the story, saying the biggest meaning of the Supreme Court decision on Colorado is that by 9-0, the justices concluded the biggest threat to democracy was not Donald Trump, it was the left. Properly driven, this can become a major political definition for the rest of the campaign and prove positive that the threat from the left is so great, even the liberal justices voted to protect the American people's right to have candidates they choose. I agree. What do you guys think?
I was actually kind of shocked at how broad the decision was. I was expecting them to nuke it, saying, hey, you look at the text of Section 3, the president and vice president clearly aren't included. That's it. We're just going to kick it from there. And they went so much broader than that, which I thought was surprising.
And let's clarify for people who don't know that often people think broad and narrow refers to the amount of votes it got. They think a broad ruling is when you get 9-0 and a narrow ruling is with 5-4. That's not what it means. It means they could look at it and say, if the Supreme Court came out and said, we will not issue judgment on the 14th Amendment, we will only say Donald Trump can't be removed. The question of the 14th Amendment remains. That's as narrow as it probably could have been. Broad is, in order to enforce the 14th Amendment, Congress must act. So that was like a big 14th Amendment declaration.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating to see sort of the reaction to this. Both of the Colorado Secretary of State and the Maine Secretary of State both issued these very quiet statements being like, in light of the court's decisions, we are, ending our efforts. I'm withdrawing my whatever. And I think that the hysteria around this is fascinating because ultimately it shows that there is something deeply wrong with the people leading these efforts, right? That they do not believe in the voters' rights. They actually just believe in manipulating them. They believe that if they scare them enough, kind of like Keith Olbermann saying, right now Biden's a monarch. And so really we don't want this to happen to everyone. There is just a fear campaign to gain compliance among the people who don't have the time to pay attention to these things. I think that's what's the worst thing. It takes advantage of the average American who is trying to keep up with the economy, who's trying to work. And instead they have to be on edge all the time because apparently democracy is falling apart all around us.
My favorite thing was, what's her name? Griswold. She's in Colorado. Mm-hmm. She said it's now up to the American people to vote to stop Trump. And I'm like, wait. Do you realize what you just admitted right there?
It was even more ridiculous what she said.
Well, it's always been up to the American people, but elaborate.
She said it's now up to the American people to save democracy.
Right.
It was always up to people.
She was like, we wanted to stop you from voting to save democracy,
right.
But now that we can't, you'll have to vote to save democracy.